when we talk about underrepresentation or
Mm,
underrepresented groups,
mm.
it mostly means underestimated. And we want to attract exceptional founders and exceptional investors. So, people who are the exception in the room, who had other lived experiences and who are not the norm or who do not belong to the big group. And I think the word exception and exceptional is a much nicer word than minority. And
Yeah,
um, yeah, I think that if we are able to show
yeah,
that a diverse ecosystem will attract an even better quality deal flow, attract the best talent, the best investors, we have to show it. We have to
yeah.
show it to the world.
Mhm.
And we are already seeing the results now because it's getting easier to attract great founding teams.
Welcome to Women Disrupting Tech. My name is Dirk-Jan Hupkes, and on this podcast I give the women who work in tech the platform they need to inspire and empower each other. Join me on a journey into the world of entrepreneurship, funding, biases, and role models to discover the strategies for success in the tech industry. In other words, how women can disrupt tech. Are you ready to listen? Hey, welcome back to Women Disrupting Tech. Thank you for listening. When you're a startup founder who is looking for an investor, then experience, domain expertise, and a network can be valuable traits to look for because you want to find someone that you can relate to on a personal and business level. While you can safely say that my guest on today's episode would be a great investor for any startup because she is a former startup founder who became a startup scout and startup investor. Sabine Schoorl recently became a senior partner at the Lumo Rise Fund from Lumo Labs. Lumo Labs is an impact driven multi stage investment fund. About 40% of Lumo Labs' portfolio companies have a female founder, and the Rise Fund has a 50-50 split between men and women as partners. As a person, Sabine has an incurable inclination to match people with opportunities. She's one of the diverse leaders in tech, and as you'll hear, she has a different view on being the only woman in the room. I wanted to talk to Sabine about the causes for the lack of funding for female led teams, how to close that funding gap, and how to increase diversity in the tech startup ecosystem. So please welcome to Women Disrupting Tech, Sabine Schoorl. So welcome Sabine. Thank you very much for being my guest. Question I always ask at the start of the podcast is how you got into your current job or current position.
Well, thank you, Dirk-Jan. Yeah, well, I started my career in the boardrooms, first of a multinational company,
Mm-hmm.
then at a startup company, and after that, I worked in a family business in construction and real estate. And I mainly worked in roles at the intersection of strategy, marketing, and innovation and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And these experiences in working in boardrooms in different cultures were very educational and laid the foundation for my entrepreneurial journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been an entrepreneur since 2010. And in 2013, I co founded a software startup with my wife, Ingrid Teppin.
Uh-huh.
And in 2014, we were the only female founders to launch a product at the Next Web. And it was a roller coaster ride. It was full of lessons and experiences that further shaped our future.
Uh-huh.
And a few years later, I co founded Europe's fastest growing ecosystem of construction technology and property technology startups.
Mm-hmm.
I sold my shares in the company by the end of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I help startups with fundraising. And I was a head of PropTech strategy for international hotel chain with another bunch of lessons there.
Mm-hmm.
And matchmaking founders with innovative leaders in the construction and real estate industry is what I really love doing.
Uh-huh.
As well as coaching startup founders on that journey. And Yeah, well, growing my network of investors, I met Andy Lurling. He's one of the two founding partners at Lumo Labs.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me about their impact investment focus, their gender diverse portfolio, and their ambition for the Successor Fund. And
Mm-hmm.
with my entrepreneurial background, my knowledge of sustainable cities and communities, in the built environment, my this meeting was a beautiful example of serendipity, and I'm very delighted to be part of the experienced Lumo Labs team and to
Mm-hmm.
work with these fantastic startup founders and investors.
Okay. Before we go there, I read on the Lumo Labs page that you consider yourself a learn-it-all founder
Yeah,
instead of a know-it-all founder.
yeah.
What does it mean to be a learn-it-all founder, and how do you or investor, and how do you become one?
Yes, I think I want to learn every day,
Mm-hmm.
every second of the day. And the moment I have the attitude of I know it all, I stop learning. And I think as an investor, you always have to be curious. And the better I become in asking the right questions,
Mm-hmm.
the better I can add value to our founders and investors and the people in the ecosystem. So I've learned that successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers.
Mm-hmm.
We are currently fundraising, so we meet a lot of new LPs, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, we want to add value for them. So we have to ask them all kinds of questions, not only about their investment thesis, but also what makes their heart beat. And
Mm-hmm.
we are an impact driven multi stage fund. So when we talk about impact, most investors get really energetic. And this emotional bond and intrinsic motivation to create a better world is important for our relationships and successes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, when I talk to founders, I'm always really curious what they need, how can I contribute, and
Mm-hmm.
what they need to perform at their best. And so I think it's really interesting to learn and to find out what really drives them, what are their talents, and what are their measures, what are their measures for success.
So, do you consider curiosity really important then?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think curiosity and always be curious and stay curious is very important. It's a
Mm-hmm.
essential life energy for me.
Okay. That's good to hear. I want to go back a bit in time because you indicated that you've been an entrepreneur since 2010. Uh, you co-founded your first startup in 2013, and you were the only female-founded startup pitching at the next web.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean,
Yes, it was a very interesting period because we had revenue from the first day. The way we built our software tool turned out to be the way what was described in the Lean Startup book.
mm-hmm,
So we for us it was common sense, but it was apparently a method.
mm-hmm,
Um, yeah, it was very exciting because we spoke with a lot of investors. We learned about term sheets. We learned about hockey sticks,
mm-hmm,
stick models, and we as female founders we had a very realistic projections.
uh-huh,
Then we heard over and over again that we needed to write hockey stick projections because
uh-huh.
that was in favor by the
Yeah.
investors. It was very interesting.
So hockey stick is I learn I hear much more that the female founders are much more realistic in terms of projections. How do you balance on the one hand being realistic with giving the quote unquote customer what he wants and needs, and customer in this case being the investor?
Yeah, I think you have to be bold and
Uh-huh.
realistic. I like to under promise and over deliver, but
Hmm.
in yeah, and so real good investors who ask the right questions, of course, they will find out if your projections are way too high or not realistic.
Hmm.
So I think female entrepreneurs maybe are too shy and need to be more bold. Um,
Hmm.
but I think being realistic and being bold and have great ambition, yeah, well, you need to do that to be
Yeah,
more convincing. Yeah,
yeah. It's a sort of the magic mix.
yeah, the magical
But
mix.
did you also run into the phenomenon where investors would almost immediately, if they saw projections of turnover or of profit, they would immediately start to discount those numbers, which they do if they listen to a man pitching?
Yeah, I've heard these stories too, but I don't have this experience. No.
Okay, I was just wondering because it's something. It's sort of a common
Yeah,
story that I keep hearing. But okay, well, good that you didn't that they didn't discount you.
not that I
Eh,
know of. No.
okay, but and I was also wondering how did it make you feel to be the only female founded team?
Well, I wasn't really conscious about it, but when we had a booth at the Next Web, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was there with Ingrid, and the queue of people who wanted to talk to us,
Mm-hmm.
we had two queues, one for myself and one for
Yeah.
Ingrid, a large queue of people who want to talk to us. And then we found out, okay, we are the only ones with such a large queues. So
Yeah.
apparently we do something different. And then I learned, oh, we are the only two female founders here.
Ah.
We were the exception in the room, and that
Mm-hmm.
makes us different.
But in this case, that was sort of a positive because there were lines queuing
Yes,
up for your
yes,
booth, which
yes. But
usually is at least an
I
indication
always,
of interest.
yeah, I always like to see it as a positive differentiator, because I work in construction and real estate for all my life.
Yeah.
For a long time, I was the only female director
Mm-hmm.
in the group that I worked, and I always found it very. Um, I found it as an advantage because everybody knew me, and
Mm-hmm.
I never experienced a disadvantage of being a woman
Okay.
in a male-dominated world. No.
So no bad jokes.
Well, of course they were, but yeah, you get to learn. You get to used to that. But no, I think as a woman you have to be twice as much of 10 times better, prove yourself. But I think that's a good thing too.
Mhm. Okay, I want to switch a bit, and only a tiny bit, because I was wondering when you had to pitch, what did you for funding? Did you find it easy to get it in the end?
No, fundraising I found it very tiring because um, every investor looks at different things. So you have to
Hmm.
adapt. You get new ideas. You have to change it again and again and again. So it's a full time job to do fundraising.
Hmm.
Um, and it was new for us. So yeah, we had to learn a lot. It was a
Hmm.
new world, a new language. New norms. Uh,
Is it specific language that you have to speak also?
I think yes. I think if you want something from an audience that you don't know yet, then you
Hmm.
have to learn the language of the audience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In that sense, yes.
Yeah.
But are there specific terms? Yeah, I mean, there's term sheets,
No,
there's
no, not
hockey sticks.
specifically. No, but of course, you have to sell. You do not sell not only your company, but you have to sell yourself. So,
Hmm.
who is your authentic self? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How open do you need to be? Uh, how how credible do you need to be? Yeah, so you have to be aware of the things that you are evaluated on. So I think that's important to do your homework
Yeah.
beforehand.
And is that homework that you can do beforehand, or is that something that you also learn by just
You learn
doing it?
along the way, because when you
Yeah.
heard all these questions and stories, then you learn, okay, this is important. I have to focus on this or less on that.
Uh-huh. So, what kind of questions can startups expect from you?
From me,
Yeah.
um, well, we invest very early stage, though.
Huh?
So we invest in the people, and it's very important to find out who are these people, why
Mm-hmm.
do they do what they do, are they able and capable of attracting the best talent? Are they able and capable of creating market value, business
Mm-hmm.
value? Will they be able to pivot when it's needed? Will Are they coachable? What is their intrinsic motivation? What are their pitfalls? Why what do they need to perform at their best, and what can hinder them to perform at their best? So I think you have to dive in the person and
Mm-hmm.
ask the questions and create an open space to be, yeah, to you have to open up yourself
Mm-hmm.
to find um, the real answers behind everything.
Is it also about building trust?
Of course, yeah, yeah. It's a building
Because,
trust, and it's a building a relationship, and it's about, yeah, person to person communication, and not only with the investor but also with the customers, only also with the team. So it's really a people's business what we are in.
yeah. So you're a senior partner at Lumo Labs. Um, I read that the portfolio of Lumo Labs, uh, probably combined portfolios, have 40% female founders.
Hmm.
Um, what can other investors learn from Lumo Labs? Because you're doing something different
Yeah,
with different results, because you have
yeah,
much more female founders than, well, let's say the average VC.
yeah, yeah, that's correct. Yes, so the average, I think, is 2% female
Yeah.
founders, and we have accomplished to attract 40% female founders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recently asked a few of our female founders what they really like about being at Lumo Labs,
Mm-hmm.
and they answered a few things. So there was a red thread in their answers. Um, they say that Lumo feels very agile and modern, and everyone is easily approachable and very energetic. So we have a very energetic team and
Mm-hmm.
very open-minded. We are always on the lookout for new impact causes and trends, and that will not only bring profit,
Mm-hmm.
but also resonate with society. And they said to me, it gives them a motivation and hope for the future. We are entrepreneurs turned investors.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's a differentiator. We
Yeah.
have both financial goals and impact goals. And female entrepreneurs often have impact driven goals too.
Yeah.
Another thing that they said was that Lumo Labs has a really outstanding support, and they promote innovative ideas. And they say Lumo Labs excel in providing support and also fostering an environment that encourages creativity and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And besides money, we are building an ecosystem, and they really appreciate that. So we are building an ecosystem with founders, venture advisors, partners, co-investors.
Mm-hmm.
And with this ecosystem, we organize coaching and training sessions, and we have community events.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, we connect the portfolio companies for peer-to-peer learning, for example, but also for with investors. So they love to meet each other and to learn and work on the same goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this ecosystem, we have a very unique learning environment, and the close connection between the mentors and the founders enables teams to unleash their full potential. And this membership approach contributes significantly to the success of the projects. That's what I heard from them.
Okay. So what I hear you say is that it's basically it's not only about profit but also about impact.
Hmm.
That is a main differentiator, and the ecosystem where you can pair up, let's say, founders in different stages so they can actually learn from each other.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And of course, there's the advisors that you can get on board. Probably
Yeah.
for you, it's easier to get people on board than for an average startup.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we have a very experienced venture advisor team
Hmm.
with exited founders, with topic experts, and we help them with the main four main topics, and these are storytelling, because
Uh-huh.
storytelling is important from the first day.
Yeah.
Leadership and culture.
Hmm.
It's we have to create excellent leaders. Product market fit is an important one, and
Yeah,
then
because you invest before they reach product market fit. Am I right?
yeah, when you invest pre-seed and seed stage, that can be before product market fit. Yeah,
Hmm.
and then follow-on investments and investor readiness is another topic that we help them with.
So that also includes pitch training, or at least the
Yes.
feedback on pitch decks,
Yeah.
like, hey, you need to include this, this, and this, or
Yeah.
adjust.
Yeah. Exactly. And also, what kind of investors will fit in the next round?
Hmm.
What do they find important
So their company startups are actually prepped also to
to grow?
grow
Yeah, to the
further.
next.
Oh,
Yeah, to the next phase.
okay. Um, so you're a senior partner in a fund. That's the
Hmm.
Rise Fund. Um, can you tell us a bit more about what investment stage? Well, that's pre-seed and seed, I guess. But also the investment thesis that you have.
Yeah.
Is it just plain impact, or is it a
No,
particular?
well, yes, we have an impact-driven focus on
Hmm.
four sustainable development goals,
Ah.
and these four are health and well-being,
Hmm.
quality education,
Hmm.
sustainable cities and communities, and climate action.
Okay.
So we look for impactful startups in these areas, and we have expertise on five technologies.
Hmm.
And these five are AI and data,
Hmm.
AR, VR,
Hmm.
blockchain, no crypto,
Yeah.
IoT, and security. And so the crossroads of these SDGs and these technologies, that's what we are looking for, and there's a huge potential there.
Yeah.
Um, We invest pre-seed, seed, and Series A.
Oh, okay.
We have a €100 million fund. Uh, we start one third of the money is for initial funding, and
Mm.
the rest is for follow-on. So we want to invest in our winners. With the current fund, we have 17 investments,
Hmm.
and six already had follow-on investments with multiples. So that's a very, very good result so far.
Yeah.
And with the same investment thesis, we built the next fund.
Okay.
And also the program, the Lumo program, the 2-year tailor-made program with the four topics that I just mentioned,
Hmm.
seems to be very successful for very successful approach. So
Yeah.
we keep that and intensify that.
Good. Um, just circling back to funding, because I was wondering, if you look at funding stats from female founded teams, they're pretty gloomy, to say the least. I think it was uh, one less than 1% last year that was founded in, or that was of the total sum invested in tech startups, that was going to female only teams. Is there
Mhm.
I have two questions about that. One is, do you have a priority for female founders? And the second one is, what do you think is causing this funding gap in general?
Yeah. Um, We look intentionally for diverse teams. So that's not only visible things like female founders, but
Yeah.
also invisible things like queer, neurodiverse, and
Yeah.
also bicultural. So
Hmm.
we look for diverse backgrounds, diverse perspectives. We find it very important because we believe that the best teams are diverse teams, because then
Hmm.
you have more less blind spots
Yeah.
and more vision for the market, better decision making, higher results, better
Yeah.
results.
Yeah. Financial returns are also better, I read.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it also something that is your personal experience that you actually see this coming back in the results, for instance, at Lumo?
Yes. So far we have yeah. So we do not only have 40% female founders, but we have most teams are really diverse
Hmm.
in with the examples that I just gave. So yeah, we have very good teams. They grow fast. They have fun because that's the important, right?
Uh-huh.
So DEI is not a law or some policy or something that is needed, but just because you want to.
Hmm.
I think that's important. And
Yeah.
I think I think the cause for this funding gap is there are so many biases and stereotypes. So unconscious biases and gender stereotypes that can influence investors' perceptions.
Hmm.
Traditional gender roles and expectations may lead to unconscious biases, and that affects how female founders are evaluated compared to their male counterparts.
Hmm.
So I think you have to be aware of these biases and why you choose people and what you need, what kind of teams you need.
Hmm.
And also, there is a very limited representation. So, the underrepresentation of women in leadership roles and
Yeah.
in decision making positions, also within the venture capital industry,
Yeah.
that can contribute to a lack of understanding and empathy towards female led businesses. And
Hmm.
this also can result in a funding bias against women entrepreneurs. So, we need to improve this representation. I think what we just talked about, this pitch dynamic. So,
Yeah.
um, research shows that women and men may pitch differently.
Uh-huh.
With women often focusing on the potential for social impact, investors may sometimes favor pitches that align with their own communication styles or priorities, which can disadvantage female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is access to mentorship and resources. So, female entrepreneurs may face challenging challenges in assessing accessing to mentorships and resources.
Is that also because they don't get funded early
Yeah,
on?
maybe that's a reason. But I think yeah, you should always seek for mentorship.
Hmm.
Um, and find other female entrepreneurs who are successful. My experience is that if you ask for help, you will always get help. So
Hmm.
you have to find mentorship, how to do things, how to become successful. Uh, yeah, what changes do you need to do to become better in what you do?
Do you also train on the biases in the community or in the ecosystem in the community that you have for Lumo? Do you specifically train people on, okay, you're going out there, let's say as a female founder or as a founder with a immigration background, and this
Mhm.
is what you could face?
Yeah, so we are setting this up now. So how can we help our founding teams with knowledge, with network, with experts on this topic? Okay, why do you want to become diverse?
Hmm.
What results can you expect from becoming diverse?
Hmm.
Because some traditional leaders think that diversity is a social responsibility. And modern leaders know it's the smartest thing to do. They are intrinsically motivated to make the difference.
Yeah.
So I think you have to approach this with optimism. With there's a lot of upside potential if you do this right. And
Yeah.
yeah, of course, we have to train ourselves. We are not flawless. We have to learn every day. We have to create allies. Allyship is very important.
Hmm.
Yes, and then we become stronger, and we have to look at our blind spots, our unconscious biases. I have a lot of unconscious bias myself.
Hmm.
I'm a member of the community of diverse leaders in tech,
Yeah.
and there are people from all backgrounds, all kinds of lived experiences, much different from myself.
Hmm.
And there I learn how little I know of other groups, and that I have a lot of unconscious bias too. And
Hmm.
again, I have to be curious, otherwise, I don't notice. I have to be alert. I want to. I want to be someone who is very open, approachable.
Hmm.
I want to learn. So
Yeah.
if I make a mistake,
Yeah.
that it is forgiven. And I want to try my best. And I want to, yeah, I think it needs to be contagious to want this. So I think it gives me a lot of energy, because when you say that only 2% of female founders, or 1%, is funded, then with two female partners in the team,
Hmm.
we attract more female founders, I'm sure. So I think,
Is that, I think that's also part of the biases in a positive way, would say, that as soon as you have more female investors, especially if you have concentrations of female investors, that you actually get much more female teams, or much more
mhm,
diverse teams,
yeah,
because, oh, that's someone who will understand me.
yeah, yeah. I think diversity attracts diversity,
Yeah.
and a female investor in
Huh?
the investment committee
Hmm.
is three times more likely to invest in a female founder
Yeah.
than a man. So I think it's very important to have more female investors in the investment committee.
Yeah. Absolutely. On the AI, we recently saw some pushback from prominent people in the US, Bill Ackman and Elon Musk, against the AI. One calling it racist, and DEI shouldn't. It was bad because it was anti-Semitic and racist by nature. That's Bill Ackman. Now I can understand that some startup founders, especially men, will think like, well, if Elon Musk is not in favor of it, maybe I should wait off. What would be the counter argument to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think if you what does the abbreviation of DEI actually mean? So
Hmm.
DEI is not an abstract new age program or a philosophy or a belief or a religion.
Hmm.
The D stands for diversity of everything,
Hmm.
of thoughts, of perspectives. And inclusion is about having everybody feel that they have a voice and are safe enough to speak up.
Hmm.
And equity is about systems and structures that create fairness and protect the organization from harmful wrongdoing.
Hmm.
So, how can a startup be against that? That's You cannot be against that, and it's not about discrimination or positive discrimination. No, it's about yeah, representation, and not underestimate.
Yeah. Is it also a bit about? I mean, startups need to, in terms of the employee base, they need to mirror the prospective customer base. And if that customer base is very diverse,
Yeah,
I think you need a diverse team. because otherwise, people like half or even three quarters of your customer base will not recognize themselves in your startup and will not subsequently not buy your product.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So we at Lumolabs, we know that DEI is an important business enabler. So
Hmm.
diverse teams are better performing, make better decisions, and will
Hmm.
be more successful over time. And not only the partner team is diverse, the founder teams are diverse, and we also want our LP base and venture advisors team to become more diverse.
Okay.
And so when female LPs are listening,
Hmm.
please come to us and find out how we can work together. And the same with queer and bicultural LPs. You're more than welcome with us.
Good, because I was about to ask you about links to the Lumo Lab site, but now you have already included a call to action to go there.
Yeah.
Before we go there, I really want to thank you for the conversation so far. Um, I was thinking about one thing still. There's this arrangement I have with Jacqueline van de Ende. She's one of the co-founders of Carbon Equity. And the arrangement is to make this podcast obsolete in, what is it, 9 years from now. Um, what would be your expert advice to get there, to make that happen?
Well, now I'm not an expert on DEI yet. Yes, of course, being irrelevant within this period of time would be the best thing that can happen to society.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, research shows that it will take another 200 years for women, not only for women, also for men, of course, to close the gender pay gap.
Hmm.
Another 200 years. So women only get 100 years ago get voting rights. That's
Hmm.
just yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And the end of slavery was only 150 years ago. And so I'm afraid it will take a long time still to improve this.
Hmm.
But I think the best thing to do is um, what we say, data proves and stories move. That's also what Ingrid likes to say.
Yeah.
And this quote is very relevant for DE and I. We are successful in attracting diverse teams, and
Hmm.
that's because we are a people business. So we care about impact, we care about results, and about exceptional teams and business growth. So we invest in early stage. The most important success factor is the people, is the team. Um, and when we talk about underrepresentation or
Hmm.
underrepresented groups,
Hmm.
it mostly means underestimated. And we want to attract exceptional founders and exceptional investors. So, people who are the exception in the room, who had other lived experiences and who are not the norm or who do not belong to the big group. And I think the word exception and exceptional is a much nicer word than a minority. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that if we are able to show
Yeah.
that a diverse ecosystem will attract an even better quality deal flow, attract the best talent, the best investors, we have to show it. We have to
Yeah.
show it to the world.
Hmm.
And we are already seeing the results now because it's getting easier to attract great founding teams. We are well known for being a female friendly uh, team and
Hmm.
ecosystem. I recently started a new community because building a community I think is very important.
Hmm.
Another community is queer funders and founders. I started this because I'm a queer myself,
Hmm.
and it makes me different from other VCs. And I want to work with queer founders and queer investors. And so I started this new community, and my first post on LinkedIn about this.
Hmm.
I get so many responses, people saying, "Oh, so great that you do this."
Hmm.
And today I read that 30% of Gen Z identifies as queer. 30%. So I think it's a growing community,
Hmm.
and we have to find a safe space to be open, to be who we are, and to work together.
Yeah. Also for the future of our well, children.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Sounds like a great place to close. Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Sabine, for all your wisdom and knowledge. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it,
well,
and for your inspiration, by the way, also.
I want to thank you because I think you're a great ally for women in tech. You give this platform to speak up,
Hmm.
to spread the word, and I think yes, like I said, spreading the word. Maybe also for women who wants to start out as a founder. Okay, we have good examples, good role models. There's a lot of potential for
Hmm.
female founders. So I always, yeah, think that with queer, with bicultural, with other exceptional groups,
Hmm.
they can come to Lumo Labs. So we have a very interesting ecosystem, and everybody is welcome with us.
Great. Where can people find out about Lumo Labs and connect with you?
Yeah, we have a very active LinkedIn presence.
Hmm.
So come to our LinkedIn company page. We post a lot about what we are doing, where we are going, where we are jury members, panelists, uh, what awards we win.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so a lot of information you can find there.
Okay. And how can people connect with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best place to find me.
Hmm.
And also, we are looking for new LPs. So connect with us on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and we would love to collaborate.
Okay. And especially queer or let's say exceptional,
Exceptional investors, yes.
VC,
Yeah.
LPs and
Female
investors.
LPs,
Yeah.
yes. More than welcome.
Good. Sabine, thanks very much for the conversation. Really enjoyed it. And well, listeners, thank you very much for listening and hope to see you in the next episode. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for listening. Sabine and I hope that you've enjoyed our conversation as much as we did. And I want to thank Andy Luerling from Lumo Labs, who suggested Sabine as a guest. You can learn more about Lumo Labs and the Rise Fund and connect with Sabine via the links in the show notes. And as usual, you can find the show notes at womendisruptingtech.blog. On that same website, you can also find other episodes of this podcast, but you can also become a member of the Women Disrupting Tech community. Members get an exclusive access to Women Disrupting Tech events, and of course, you get an email when new episodes or blogs come online. For your weekly dose of Women Disrupting Tech inspiration, you can follow the podcast also on Spotify, Apple, and Goodpods. And if you do, please don't forget to give the show a rating or a review because that way you help other people discover the podcast. If you want to help Sabine to make this podcast obsolete in 9 years, there's a simple way to do it. Please share the podcast with friends, family, and co-workers because this way you give Sabine and other guests the platform they need to make it happen. Finally, if you want to connect with me, you can do that via LinkedIn, but you can also send me an email at dirkjan at womendisruptingtech.blog. With that, I wish you a wonderful day and I hope to see you in the next episode.